Well, I did something that you might think is shockingly stupid and insane. I want to share that with you because we have a crisis right now that could be so easily resolved. It's not going to happen overnight, but I want to talk to you about it because this is critical to the repair and the healing of our planet, the ascension of all of us. Are you doing this? And how do we get out of what we've been doing in the past that is continually fueling the problems now? We can resolve this together. You ready? I'm going to share my story with you, and let's see what you think. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. As usual, I didn't look at myself before I got on camera, because I really don't care. So I get these ideas when I'm out running and doing all kinds of stuff, because we're all getting downloads, and we all know and in our hearts and have answers to everything. When you guys say, I have to talk to you, I'm like, no, you really don't. I can't possibly know the full picture of your story, and you do. And no one can tell you what to do, how to do it, when you have all the answers. And I want to share with you something that I did. You might think is absolutely insane, but I want to share with you why I did it and how we have to start moving forward in a way that I use very often, and that is going with your gut, no matter what happens, and being okay with that. We are one energy, not person. We are one energy, expressing itself in every possible form to know contrast so that it knows what it is. So the beauty of unconditional love can be known. That cannot be known unless it knows what the opposite of that is, and we have played this out for centuries. Now, I live in Atlanta, and if you're familiar with, as of this video, we've had riots, racial riots here, and more insane behavior by the authorities in charge, let's just say. I want you to remember two things. The first one is, no one can have control over you unless you give it to them. We have given our control over in every area of our lives to whoever's in charge of each country, to who oversees the rules and regulations that we have all agreed to, and maybe not, but have allowed to continue on, and our finances. How many of you hand your money over to somebody to make decisions for you, and you have no clue where it's really going? And then when economies tank, they say the money's gone. That's impossible. Money can't go away. It's somewhere. And it could be that big old house that a CEO bought, and now there's no money in the company. But that money went into something. I want you to start thinking good and hard about what is right in your heart, what feels right, because it's only right for you. We all have our own individual realities and truths, and we all have our own tolerance level. In other words, each of us gets to decide how far we're willing to go into a space that's uncomfortable. I went out with friends yesterday for dinner at a really nice place here in Atlanta. I was all dressed up, and I came back, maybe not too late, but late enough, 10 o'clock. We are not under curfew here, but the streets were empty. And I live in Atlanta, and Atlanta has a very high crime rate. Well, I came up to a light, and as I was waiting to make my turn, a young black man in the middle of the intersection walked up to my car and got my attention. There was absolutely no one around me, and this is an area where some bad stuff's gone down, all right? He pointed down to my car, down there, like at the door. And I said, what? My window doesn't go down very well because I have a classic car and that window doesn't operate that great. So I pretty much always open the door. I opened the door and I said, what? And he said, there's something hanging out of your car. It was this little duster. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like, just think of the end of a long dress that was hanging out. I said, thank you. And I pulled it in and shut the door, and he waved again. And I opened the door and I said, what? And he said, do you have a quarter, a couple quarters? And I said, you know what? I do. I have a whole bag of quarters here that I just happen to have to clean my car. I go to I can't put my car through a regular wash because I have an old rag top convertible and it leaks. You know, there's no way to get it tight after a few years. So I go and hand wash it, which I enjoy. So I carry this bag of quarters. I said, here you go. And I handed him a bag of quarters and I said, I love you. And he said, I love you too. And he walked away. You might say, are you insane? Not only are you insane for even speaking to this person with what's going on here, but you're all dressed up, white woman, in a little convertible BMW, opening your door in an area where there was nobody there to protect me. Oh, we know what that means right now, protection. So, and I'm opening the door. That might sound insane. I'm willing to take the risk. I never felt threatened. I picked up on his energy. He obviously was going to come up to the window. He happened to see this, gave him an excuse to talk to me. I'm okay with that. I went with my gut feeling, and at no point did I ever feel energy from him that was threatening to me. And if I was wrong, I was willing to do that. We have to start stepping into the uncomfort zone with each other, whether it's a color-based thing or whatever it is. When you treat people like animals, they will act like animals. So some of the things you're seeing with the violence and things that are going on are people that are frustrated and tired of being treated like animals. And if you take what's happening here and you back it up and back it up and back it up years and years and years, there's a cause and effect that makes absolute perfect sense. So-and-so group is not just violent or a certain way. It came from conditioning and treatment that we have done to each other for centuries. We have been treated, all of us, like slaves as human beings many, many, many years ago when we were told that the church was in charge, or the king was in charge, or the baron was in charge, and the minions went out in the fields. And I'm talking about white people at this point. That's been going on for centuries. And then that has been handed down and handed down and handed down. There's been a split that is so distorted and has been accepted. We're so conditioned, we don't even realize how we treat each other. So now we have fear-based. So you have a whole community out here that's feeling fear when they see that stuff going on because now they're associating with not feeling safe. And we have handed our protection over to a group of people that haven't behaved very well, but we have said, okay. And it is not turned into a community thing. It's turned into a total control that is beyond what is acceptable. Right? We have to take responsibility. No one can do that unless we say it's okay. And we've been saying it's okay for a really long time. If you ever watch, if you're American and you're a little older, you probably remember a show called Andy Griffith, Andy of Mayberry. He was a cop in this podunk southern town, and the town drunk would come in and go into the cell and sleep it off. There was a community that is television that can exist for us on some level. What happens when somebody is drunk and should probably go home and not get in a car? What's wrong with allowing that person to have somebody pick them up and go home? What's wrong with saying, okay, we'll drop you off. How far do you live? We'll drop you off. Or can you call somebody to come pick you up? Where does it go from there? How does that go into violence? There is so much separation of us on both sides. We hand our power over, and then we don't like it when it's used in a way that's been used for decades. And so now we have to look at that and say, how did we hand that over? And we're saying no. But we need to do it in a most peaceful way to take responsibility for the fact that we have allowed a lot to go on. Some of us, with ignorance, not really knowing how all of that works, because it's not been a part of our personal lives. But now we're getting to exchange and communicate with one another. Now we're getting to talk about this and say, I didn't know. I didn't know that's what you go through. I didn't know that still exists. Because a lot of people, they just don't know. It's not their world. We need to talk to one another. We need to open the door and say, you know what? I can't be afraid anymore. Yes, use your brains. There are going to be situations that you really shouldn't do certain things. But I want to just tell you that when you have an opportunity to do something good, to do something kind, to show that you're not afraid and that you're okay with whatever happens, because we can't live in fear anymore, in separations. We can't keep our doors locked and closed to everybody. Sometimes you have to step out and say, okay, this time I'm not going to ignore all this that's going on. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and be the person in the protest or any number of things that you're not comfortable with. There are so many other ways for us to contribute. And it starts with trusting one another and putting the fear aside, because a lot of the fear, most of the fear we have, isn't real. It's not based on anything. There was a young black man at the door in a very bad area. Now I could make a big assumption on that. Big decision. And maybe I should have. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to live my life in fear. And it's going to be a part of us. It's always there. But I'm not going to allow it to control me. We must break through this. And this is going to be the toughest thing you've ever had to do. And a lot of you are going to say that, the powers in control need to be there to protect us. But that isn't what's going on. It's gone way past that. There's no kindness or community in there. There's no trust. And there's a lot of power-driven authority given to people who shouldn't be in those positions, that are misusing it. And there are a lot of people in the media. I just saw a video that was really funny. I laughed so hard. I watched a video of people saying that these people have to go to jail and this has to be controlled, and every single one of them had been arrested for something really dishonest. You see, we can look at certain communities that get violent, but there are, white men, millionaires on Wall Street, basically screwing people out of their savings and retirement. Bernie Madoff, right? Violence is just one part of the distortion, of the separation of humanity. And if we're doing nasty things to one another, it comes in all forms and all colors. We have to start saying, who is speaking? Who am I listening to? And who is doing what? And seeing that it is individuals. And when you take individuals that abuse it and you have groups of them, now we have a problem. Every act is an individual act. But the more we fuel that and allow it, the more that power of the collective consciousness in the quantum field becomes powerful. It grows. That focus, allowing that, fuels others in a more dense frequency that says, hey, I can just shoot somebody who's running away from me because I'm an authority. I'm a paid authority. Person runs away from my paid authority, gets shot. I'm sorry, but the fact that we even carry guns over here, that's a whole other thing that people will argue. Bottom line is, why do humans hurt each other? We feel we're separate, and the higher frequency you go into, the more awakened you become. That dissolves. And you watch it almost like a circus. It's pure entertainment, except for it's not so nice. When do we stop seeing each other as colors or somebody doesn't talk the way you like because they're a different culture. So you automatically, your defenses go up. Why? It's total conditioning. Total conditioning. You know, I think that young man last night was really shocked when not only did I say, yeah, here's a bag of money. It wasn't a lot, but it was a lot more than he asked for. And I just didn't think twice but to give it to him. And then I looked him straight in the eyes and said, I love you. I didn't think twice. I don't know why I said it. It's what I was feeling. I saw this young man and I felt this really amazing energy that it was exchanged because I think he knew I wasn't afraid. What an amazing feeling to do that and always get a reaction, probably most of the time, get a reaction that's not so nice or that's fearful, and somebody goes into that space and takes that chance with you. That's where we have to go. Are you ready to do that? And it's not just with whites and blacks, it's with the poor and the homeless and the cray-cray person talking to themselves who's probably not so cray-cray. We're always labeling and think we know people. People think they know me. Oh, who are you to say this and that? You're this and that. And I thought, geez, I don't remember sharing my private information with anybody. This is not a place to get on your soapbox and to preach to other people how things should be. It's an opportunity. This channel is an opportunity for us to talk about how we're going to reach out to one another and dissolve the dividing line based on material, physical differences. And that's really all it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. Because you're looking at yourself. You're looking at a version of what you can be. All of us are. Don't try to understand it. You can't. No one can know what you feel like, nor I. And if somebody has privilege, are you judging them because of that? That's equally as dense as those who look down on others for their status in society that we've created. It has to stop in every single area. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do that? Because it's going to be real uncomfortable. And we have to be uncomfortable. But if you go in here and you use this, you have an energy field that's always communicating with you. And what the toughest thing is going to be for all of us is to recognize the conditioning, the feelings of conditioning, and the feelings of intuition. And you have to ask yourself a question. Am I fearful because I know this is a high crime area and there's a young black man and there's nobody around and I'm a white woman really dressed up in a nice car? We can take all that stuff. Or do you say, I feel okay and I'm going to reach out to this person? As simple as that is, no big deal. But one act of kindness, one act of kindness. What if he shared that story and said, this crazy woman, crazy white woman, opened her door and handed me money and then said, I love you. I'm sure he probably told somebody that story. I hope he did. The butterfly effect, right? Because he said, I love you back. And that felt really good. You willing to go to that space with me? Yeah. I'm going to start doing some stuff. I always do stuff like that. People think I've just lost my mind. I'm thinking, why? That's how we should be living. There shouldn't be anybody on the street having to do that anyways. Let's get to that place. Let's become a community again. Let's make sure that when somebody has a little bit too much to drink, somebody just drives them home. That's all. Who hasn't done that? Most of all the people in authority have violated that one 1,001 times. Right? We know that. He, without sin, cast the first stone. Well, not going to be me. You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share these videos. I want to spread nothing but amazing words. And if you think that I'm just too Pollyanna, too bad, go to your conspiracy theory channels and you go create that reality for yourself. It's not going to be mine or my subscribers, because we're going to stay steadfast in that high frequency, because that's the frequency and reality. We actually create quantum physics science proof that that works, and we're going to do it. And we are doing it. And if you want to participate in that, no one is excluded. Everyone gets to come over to the new world. If you go down in the description, my 3-hour masterclass, Shift into the New Earth, has gotten rave reviews. People loved it. I also have a workshop. And by the way, I have discount codes. I have a workshop that is called Conscious Manifesting. We want to start acting conscious with these thoughts. I want to consciously be aware of what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. And if I can switch that fear and break through it and go into something peaceful and bridge that gap between me and that person and that person and that person. And those of you of color, white people aren't bad. They're just ignorant. And there's a lot of amazing white people that are just as angry as you are about what goes on. We just haven't known as a collective how to handle that or what to do, but I think we do now, right? So thank you for all of you for being a part of saying no more. We got a lot of work to do with animals and the elderly and anybody, Asians, the Jewish community. You want to talk about persecution. It goes on all the time. And we get to switch roles as we keep coming back to know what that is. But we're in a position now to remedy that. This is our evolution of the planet. And it's happening now. And it's amazing. Get excited. It's going to happen with the financial industry too. We're not done by a long shot. So get prepared. Equip yourself with whatever you need to do to create a world where you're making your own decisions and you're not handing things over to the powers, the financial industries or whatever, and that's not all bad. It's just what's existed. Change that in your life too. You guys have seen this. This is my free workshop. We're developing skills. This is training. It's an education system. How do I create a business online so that I don't have to go out there? I can create my own income and I get to choose what that is. You have people that work with you to do that. You're not alone. We're a community. We're a community over here. We're a community here in my neighborhood. People are doing amazing things. Start your community and start talking to them. Use the internet. Use it for good. Technology is amazing. You can reach people globally. Do it in the most positive way. Shut the garbage down. Shut it down. And let's pull together as the one beautiful energy experience of the one that we are. Celebrate it. Celebrate one another. Celebrate our differences. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my beautiful, beautiful light being. You are not less than any other person, any other energy, no matter what you've done. Don't ever let anybody tell you you are not beautiful and important. You have an amazing gift. Everyone has one, or two, or three. You're here. It's time to break past all the self-limiting thoughts and actions and start to give into a community with peace. And if you don't feel certain things, try to understand that. Try to understand so that you can break down those barriers of fear. It's possible. I love you. You're amazing. Unconditional love is with you always. Blessings to you, my friend. Peace, health, wealth, most of all, awakening. Namaste.